Her husband is driving, and she's sliding my hand under her dress like it's the most natural thing in the world. We're in the back seat. He's talking about golf trips. She hasn't said a word. My hand's still on her thigh. She moves slower now, guiding me where she wants me to be. She breathes steady, eyes forward, and then just like that, she closes her legs around my hand. Tight, certain, no hesitation. And I don't move. I don't speak. I don't even blink. Because this isn't a fantasy. This is happening. Right now. And I've already crossed the line. I'd only been working for them for 2 weeks. It rained nearly every day. Seattle doesn't warn you. It just starts. Gray in the morning, wet by lunch. Their house was at the top of a hill, tucked behind iron gates and trimmed hedges. The kind of place with silence you don't earn. I buzzed in. 11 seconds to open. Always 11. Enough time to count the lavender bushes lining the path. 6 on each side. George, the husband, liked routines. Called me Kelly, even though my name's Karen. He wore Bluetooth earbuds that were never connected. Always looked halfway into a conversation that didn't include you. He tipped in checks. Never cash. Claire, his wife, was 32. Mixed heritage, you could tell from her features. She didn't smile unless someone important was looking. Always had her nails done in pale pink. Wore perfume that stayed in the car long after she stepped out, sharp, floral, unforgiving. The first day I drove her, she gave me the address without turning her head. Sat in the back seat, phone in hand, screen off. She crossed her legs slowly, adjusted her skirt once, then didn't move again. I checked the rearview mirror out of habit. She was already looking. Not curious. Just steady, like waiting to be sure I'd flinch. She didn't speak the entire ride, but I felt watched. When we stopped, she leaned forward and said, "You drive quiet." Then stepped out and shut the door like we hadn't just shared 35 silent minutes. The third time I picked her up, it was raining. A fine, cold drizzle that stayed on your collar. I held out an umbrella. She walked past it. I offered my jacket. She took it, slipped it over her shoulders and said, "Let's not go home yet. Just drive." Her voice wasn't tired. Just done. We circled the lake for 30 minutes. She drank from a small metal thermos. Didn't look out the window. Just stared straight ahead. The jacket stayed on her lap. She didn't return it. I didn't ask questions. That's how you stay employed. On the 4th day, things shifted. She walked out with sunglasses on and a coffee in hand. Got into the front seat without asking. Didn't wait for me to open the door. She sat down like she'd done it 1,000 times. I started the car. She adjusted the center console and placed her coffee there. The scent of vanilla creamer and jasmine filled the space between us. I kept both hands on the wheel. We were silent again, but it wasn't the same. Her elbow brushed mine when I reached for the AC. She didn't move. At the first curve, her pinky touched the edge of my wrist. I flinched. Not enough for her to notice. But I felt the heat rush to my face. She moved her hand again. This time slower. Fingers grazed mine. Once, then again. And then didn't leave. She didn't grip. Didn't squeeze. Just kept it there. Her skin was cold from the coffee cup, but she didn't pull back. The air inside the car had changed. No one adjusted the temperature, but I felt warmer. The sound of the heater was all we had between us. And the sound of her nails tapping softly on the lid of her coffee cup. I didn't look at her. She didn't say a word. But her hand was still touching mine. Barely. I knew I should have stepped away. But I didn't. It was early. The driveway still smelled like rain. She came out before I honked. White button down. Not all the way fastened. No jacket. No umbrella. No words. She didn't go for the back door. She walked straight to the passenger side and got in. Just the sound of the door closing. Not even a glance. She set a coffee in the holder between us. Steam curled into the air. Then she said, "Drive around the lake today. I don't feel like being indoors." Her voice was flat. Tired but firm. I nodded. I pulled out, tires still slick. The road curved gently around the lake. Fewer cars this time of morning. She rolled down her window 2 inches. Rested her elbow on the sill. Her hair caught the breeze. It smelled clean. Herbal. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Just the hum of the road. My hand stayed near the gear. Hers folded in her lap. After a while she said, "Do you know what day it is?" I glanced over. She didn't wait. "The day I signed my marriage license." She sipped her coffee. "That was 7 years ago. Today." I didn't say anything. We passed a small dock. A couple sat at the edge with coffee. They looked soft. Sunday morning soft. She looked out the window and said quietly, "I used to think I'd get married barefoot. On a beach." She didn't smile. She wasn't trying to be cute. She added, "But he wanted something formal. Country club. Champagne tower. Monogrammed napkins." She turned toward me for the first time that day. And I said yes. Because it was easier. The light turned red. I stopped. She leaned slightly toward the center console. The sleeve of her shirt brushed my arm. "I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I hadn't said yes to him," she whispered. "But maybe said it to someone else." The light changed. We drove in silence again. But her body was closer now. Not touching. Just hovering. Present. We pulled into a lot behind a closed bookstore. She handed me the second coffee. "Still warm," she said. I took it. Our fingers brushed. She didn't move her hand right away. I held still. She pulled back gently. I sipped. Vanilla. A little cinnamon. She turned her body slightly, knees tilted my way. "You don't talk much," she said. I said, "Not when I don't know what's allowed." She stared at me for a moment, then smiled soft and strange. "That's a good answer." Wind moved a small paper bag near the sidewalk. The street was empty. The only sound was the fan blowing from the dash. Then she said, "If I asked you to lie to me right now, would you?" I looked over. She didn't repeat it, just watched me. I said, "Depends on the lie." She looked at the coffee in her hand. "Lie and say you don't look at me through the mirror," she said, eyes still down. I said nothing. She turned her face to the window, leaned back again, pulled her sleeves over her wrists. A minute passed. "Sorry," she said, barely audible. "I don't usually talk this much." On the drive back, we didn't say another word. But she didn't roll the window up. And she didn't lean away. When we got to the gate, it opened slowly. She didn't unbuckle. I waited. The car stopped, but the engine stayed on. "I'll get out soon," she said. I nodded. But she didn't move. "I used to keep a journal," she said. "Every night. Until the night I got married." I glanced at her. "I didn't write because I didn't know what to say anymore," she added. "I didn't know what to do with that." Then she looked at me. Full on. Eyes not blinking. She reached down. Adjusted the air vent. Then placed her hand on the padded space between our seats. I kept both hands on the wheel. She said, "I don't expect anything." But her hand was now 2 inches from mine. "I just want to feel something that's not so polite," she said. She moved her fingers toward mine. Not quickly. Not boldly. Just enough that they made contact. She left them there. She didn't grip. Didn't lace them. Didn't push. Just the weight of touch. Skin to skin. Nothing more. "I shouldn't be doing this," she said after a long pause. I whispered, "Then why are you?" She smiled. A sad kind of smile. And didn't answer. She looked down at our hands. Then slowly pulled hers away. "I need to go," she said. But still didn't open the door. I could feel my own pulse in my wrist. My palm still warm where hers had rested. She finally reached for the handle. But before stepping out, she said one more thing. "If I ask again tomorrow, will you say no?" I didn't look at her. I said, "I don't know yet." She nodded. Then got out. Her sandals made a soft sound against the gravel path. She walked slowly to the door. Didn't turn around. She left her empty coffee cup behind. Sat there. Lid still on. Half lipstick print still visible on the rim. I stared at it for a long time. Then reached for it. My fingers hesitated before lifting it. But I didn't throw it away. Not yet. She didn't kiss me. But something touched me, and I still haven't let it go. George was already waiting outside when I pulled up. He wore a dark suit, lighter than usual, with a navy tie and polished shoes. He looked freshly shaved, upbeat. "Toss me the keys," he said. "I'll drive today. You ride in the back with Claire." He opened his own door before I could respond. I couldn't say no. He was in a good mood. Claire came out 3 minutes later. Green silk dress, high slit, thin straps, no coat. Her lipstick was darker than usual, slightly blurred at one corner. She didn't carry anything, not even a phone. When she saw me in the back seat, she paused. Just half a second. Then she opened the door and got in beside me. No expression. No words. The car pulled out smoothly. George talked almost immediately, something about zoning permits and land in Pierce County. He gestured as he spoke, one hand on the wheel, the other slicing the air. Claire didn't look at him. She leaned back, shifted slightly toward my side. Her leg, bare from the slit in her dress, angled just enough to brush mine. I didn't move. The window fogged in the corner. She reached forward, wiped it with her finger. Slowly, the car turned left. Her body leaned with it. Her hand slid down her own thigh, rested near the edge of my seat. I kept my gaze forward. Then I felt her fingers slow, steady on the top of my hand. She didn't squeeze, just placed her hand over mine. Warm. Sure. The road curved again. She used the motion to guide my hand down, between the folds of her dress. Cool air touched my knuckles. Then her skin, warmer than expected, soft. I froze. My breath caught. George kept talking. Claire pressed her legs together. Gently. My hand was now trapped. I couldn't see her face, but I could feel everything. Every pulse. Every breath. She leaned toward my ear. Her lips barely touched me. Then she whispered, "Do you hear anything strange?" I didn't answer. She tilted her head back, rested it on the seat, closed her eyes. Her dress shifted slightly with her breath. George kept going, something about golf this time. Tee times. His friend's swing. The light turned red. I looked down, pretending to check my phone. Claire let go of my hand, pulled her dress back into place. Smooth and quiet. We stopped in front of a tall glass building. George stepped out. He said he wouldn't be long. Claire followed. Her hand brushed my chest as she moved past me. That night we didn't speak again, but we both knew something had changed. 2 days later her message came. Tonight. 8 p.m. white shirt. No cologne. That was it. No greeting. No instructions beyond that. At 7:58, I pulled into the driveway and parked near the side gate. The house lights were off, except for a faint glow upstairs. Claire stepped out at exactly 8 o'clock. No bag. No jewelry. She wore a black dress that clung to her without effort. Hair tied low. No makeup. Just lip balm maybe. Her mouth looked soft. She didn't speak. Just got in the back seat. Drive to the east dock, she said. Behind the storage garage. You know it. I nodded. Shifted into reverse. The streets were empty. Rain had started again, light and cold. We didn't speak the whole ride. At the lot, she pointed to a spot near the back, where the lights barely reached. Here. I turned off the engine. The sound of the rain grew louder. She reached forward, pulled the privacy curtain shut behind the front seats. Then, without turning, she said, "Come sit with me. Don't ask." I climbed out, walked around, and opened the back door. She had her legs folded up, shoes already off. Her coat draped across her lap. I sat beside her. The space was tight. Not cramped. Just close. She didn't look at me. Just took my hand and placed it against her chest. No bra. Her heartbeat was steady. Not rushed. Not slow. She held it there with her hand over mine. Then with her other hand she started unbuttoning my shirt. The second button caught slightly. She didn't stop. Once undone, she slid her hands inside, touched my collarbone. Then she climbed onto my lap. Smooth. Controlled. Knees on either side. Dress sliding upward. She sat slowly, her weight settling on me like she'd done it 100 times. Her hand reached behind my neck. Held there. The car seat groaned softly with every shift. She pressed her forehead to mine. Didn't move. Our noses touched. Then she started to move. It wasn't fast. It wasn't rough. It was deliberate. Rain tapped harder on the glass. Steam fogged the windows. The air felt heavy. Warm. Her hair brushed my cheek. Her hands were cold. Mine weren't. She breathed into my neck. No words. Her mouth grazed my jaw once. She adjusted herself. The hem of her dress was now bunched at her waist. One of her hands slipped beneath my shirt. Fingers on my spine. Fingernails pressing lightly. I didn't know where to put mine. I just held on. Each movement made the seat creak. The rhythm matched the wipers, even though they were off. She kissed my shoulder. Just once. Then slowed. Then stopped. Her cheek rested on my chest. Both of us still. I didn't want to speak first. She did. Next time leave the light on, she whispered. Then she climbed off. Her dress fell back into place. She fixed my shirt. One button at a time. Still no eye contact. She sat next to me again. Hands in her lap. I looked at her. She kept her gaze forward. Neither of us moved for at least 5 minutes. The fog outside hid the street lamps. Finally she spoke. We should go. I didn't start the car. Instead I opened the door. Stepped out. Let the cold air hit my face. Not to leave. Just to breathe. 3 weeks. No calls. No late night messages. Then out of nowhere. Tonight. No uniform. I don't want to see his badge anymore. I stared at the text longer than I needed to. Didn't respond. Didn't need to. I parked outside the house at 9:03. The gate was already open. Lights were off in the living room. Just a warm yellow glow spilling from the kitchen. The front door was unlocked. When I stepped inside, the wood creaked under my feet. Quiet everywhere. The air smelled of something red wine perfume, a trace of burnt sugar. I didn't call out. She was there. Leaning against the kitchen counter, barefoot, one strap of her dress slipping. A silk robe hung from one side. Her hair pulled up slightly messy, like she gave up halfway through fixing it. On the counter. 2 wine glasses. One already touched. A small velvet box. 2 boarding passes face down. I didn't speak. She looked at me. Not a smile. Not even curiosity. Just steady like she already knew how I'd answer. I stepped forward. Kicked my shoes off. The tiles were cold under my socks. She gestured to the wine glass on the right. I didn't move. My hand stayed by my side. Her voice was soft. Measured. You ever think about disappearing? I didn't answer. She opened the velvet box. Held it out but not toward me. Just in between. A silver band. No stone. Smooth. Almost too plain. Plain leaves at 4. No one knows. She tapped one of the tickets. It moved a little. I leaned on the opposite counter. Crossed my arms. You don't love me, Claire. You just want to not be here. She blinked once. Then slowly closed the box. No anger. No rush. Click. She walked to the sink. Turned on the water. Let it run over her hands without washing anything. I looked at her back. The silk clung slightly at the waist. Her shoulders were still. Too still. I pulled the car key from my pocket. Laid it next to the untouched wine glass. Didn't slide it. Just placed it down. No sound from her. I turned. Walked to the hallway. At the corner I glanced back. She hadn't moved. Only the water still ran. I opened the door. Left it slightly ajar. No footsteps behind me. Next morning I typed a short email. Effective immediately. Thank you for the opportunity. No explanation. No reply. A week later I returned to clear out the car. Last time. She wasn't home. I had the spare key. I moved slowly. Wiped every surface. Ran my hands over the leather, the door handles, the console. Let the radio play static. Then I checked under the seats. There, pressed under the passenger floor mat. One of the tickets. It had a torn edge. Folded once. On the back a faint smudge. Lipstick. Red. Faded but there. I held it in my hand for a long time. Didn't open it. Didn't throw it away either. I placed it inside the glove compartment. Closed it. Sat in the front seat. Left the engine off. The car still smelled faintly of her shampoo. Outside, a single leaf skated across the driveway. No wind. Inside, the silence sat next to me. Familiar now. I stayed until the sun dropped below the fence. Didn't want to be anywhere else. Not yet. I wasn't swept away. I wasn't confused. I stayed. Not because I had to, but because a part of me wanted to see what would happen if, for once, I didn't walk away. She never asked me to stay. But I didn't leave. Maybe for the first time I wasn't trying to be right. I just wanted to be real. There was a time I used to apologize for things I hadn't even done. I said sorry just to keep the peace, even when the silence cost more. But now I wonder, why do we, as men, only say the truth when there's no one left to hear it? Turns out, freedom isn't some wild thing we do in secret. It's the quiet act of not hiding anymore. If you've ever kept still, even when your heart was loud, you can leave a period here. Not for me, but for that version of you no one ever met. And each time I walk past that kitchen, I still think the wine might be warm,